we're going to ignore the fact that I am just getting myself together for the day. I'm going to do another one of these because I felt led to. So last night I had a really weird series of dreams. That's kind of been the case. I don't know if I mentioned this in the last video, but that's kind of been the case since I've actually been getting my REM cycles in, because I hadn't for a couple months. And I think in part it's probably because I have not smoked pot in 3 months. Although, and I only say that, I guess, because I've had people tell me that when they quit smoking pot, I have a lot of friends that like used to be stoners and now they don't smoke anymore. And they said that that was one thing that they noticed, was that when they had quit smoking pot, their dreams started to come back. But I never really lost my capacity to dream outside of my sleep cycles. If I'm highly caffeinated and not sleeping fully, then I tend to have a harder time dreaming. But even then, like, I kind of tend to still astral project if I'm not getting my full REMs. And I do tend to just have lucid dreams in general. So like, that's normally when I'm dreaming, they're pretty lucid. I'm at least lucid to them, rather. Really depends on my state of mind as to if the dream itself is lucid, in the sense that like I'm still kind of always controlling them to a degree, able to kind of make my own choices within them, and am aware of myself within them. So, I guess this poor cacti. I guess that is what it is. These plants have already been through a lot just being with me. I've noticed them. They went from being so inviting and so beautiful to really seeming quite traumatized. I imagine that's because we had been in the car for several days prior to getting into a hotel. These poor babies. They're strong though. They're mostly all succulents. They're succulents and cacti, so they're pretty durable plants. I just got to get them into our actual home so that I can feel more set, so they can feel more set. I know my energy's been all over the place, and they're learning how to work with me. Okay, sorry, completely distracted. So, yeah, I've been having weird dreams to begin with, or I've been having more consistent dreams and more in-depth dreams, or dreams at all. Last night, my series of dreams was intense, and I woke up kind of being aware that I was being attacked in my sleep through my dream state. Happens every so often, and I can't say exactly what triggered it. I know we just had a full moon, so I have kind of been in a weird place emotionally, and I think just like letting that come out and letting myself kind of get into my head in order to process those things and stuff like that, maybe. I don't always think that somebody was like up late at night thinking bad things about me, or like actively trying to astral project into my dreams in any type of way. But sometimes I do get that impression. And like, even, not last night, but the night before last, I had another weird series of dreams. And in that one in particular, my oldest brother was kind of, both of my brothers were in it, but my oldest brother was in it in kind of a negative way with me. And it left me feeling some type of way a bit in the morning, but I kind of am able to shake that off because I've been working with those energies for a long time. This one, this dream in particular, was so bizarre, and I don't actually have to sit here and go through the dream because it's not going to make sense to anybody. I will say that, like, this is how you know that the state of my dreams are wild, because like a part of it, I was working in the dog daycare that I used to work in, but it like wasn't the same, but it was the same. But it was kind of like, instead of just being a dog daycare, it was kind of like a zoo, or like some type of animal sanctuary, essentially, like a rescue kind of thing. And there had been these tapirs that, which is so funny, because like I think that might have come from having seen a video talking about them earlier yesterday. I guess that it must have been a suggestion that way. But like there had been these tapirs that like were very aggressive, and like they were like trying to like eat things. I'd seen that video, and I'd seen the video of that little famous little hippo in Taiwan that everybody's been talking about. I don't know. I see it on the internet, the fucking internet. And so like in my dream, it was kind of like that, where they like had their mouths open, like this hippo always has its mouth open, but they were like being very aggressive. And so we had to keep them out of this space. So then in the dream, like when I became lucid, like it was like I was starting my day, my shift off. And I was aware that the tapirs had been there like just in the shift prior. Or maybe it was my shift the evening prior. It's like there was like these two animals that were on the other side of the door that were like trying to get in, right? And I assumed it was the tapirs, so I wasn't letting them in for a period of time. And then at one point, like my manager or whatever was like, "You haven't let any of the animals in yet?" And I was like, "Well, I thought I had to keep the tapirs out." She was like, "Well, yeah, but I don't think it's them." And then like as they were like trying to come in, like as they were trying to come through the door, they just ended up like coming underneath the door at the same time we were having that conversation. And they were two anteaters, which was a very bizarre thing to see in my dream. I don't think I've ever seen anteaters like that. I think I've only seen them once in my life, maybe at the zoo. They're smaller than large ones are, and I don't think they were the large ones anyways, because they were mostly brown and black. They didn't have like the stripes on them, but the large ones have like a couple stripes on their back. These ones are smaller, and they were brown, and they were very sweet. They were like, they both came in, and then they were being like very sweet and very gentle. And I was like, oh my God, what an idiot. I thought they were the tapirs, but really they're the anteaters. Which is funny, because then like in the dream interpretations that I looked up, like they actually have almost opposing concepts in them. So the dream is already very deep, okay? Like it's weird and misplaced seeming because of how deep it is, right? These are deep symbols. As I'm interacting with the anteaters, they turn into these like poodles, essentially, only they're like somehow exotic. It mostly is because of their haircut, but like to me, like because they were the anteaters, like they're exotic. They're still the same animal as far as the dream is concerned. It's just my perception of them has shifted them into these other things. So now they're like poodles. And I remember like picking up the female one, and like I'm trying to like, and I'm like, because like the person had mentioned something about them, and I was like, no, these ones are friendly. These aren't like the tapirs were. And then I went to like force her to like kind of sit on her bottom, kind of like trying to be cute, but she yelped, and I realized that she was hurt. And not necessarily that she was hurt. She had apparently had surgery on her back, and her back was like open, and you could see into it. And you could see that there was like plastic bits that they had used to try to like fuse her hips together with her spine. But you could actually see into her body, and you could see her hip bones, and it was like all dry in there. And I guess that was because it was like sterile. And I remember just feeling really bad, because it's like, oh, this poor thing. And I kept having this sick feeling in my stomach that like I had accidentally hurt this thing. And like she just went about her day, like kept playing like it was nothing or whatever, but it just kept making me feel real sick that I had like accidentally hurt this animal, being irresponsible. And like she was fine, she wasn't even hurting anymore, but like just that feeling I like took on, I didn't like it. And then the dream shifted into like where the attack really, like what I resonated with as what was an obvious attack. The whole dream I was being attacked. But like in the dream, like I was being attacked by a specific group of women. There's 3 women, and the main one she kind of changes her appearance in my different dreams, but her energy is always the same. And in multiple dreams I've had with this energy, I find myself calling her a cunt, like openly. And I do it as kind of a trigger, because I know she doesn't like it, but she is one. So that's the attitude I have, where I'm like, this cunt. And I'm like, they're like, oh, don't say that, she doesn't like that. And I'm like, I know, that's why I'm saying it, because she is. And in the dream, like, she's trying everything to rob me of my everything, and like having to fight her off in all these different ways, and she's not expecting me to survive all these different things. And at one point, like, she just almost like kind of gives up, or now she's just like doing these petty things where she's like just trying to block me in this room because like that's the best she can do. And I like get through, and then she's like rushing around, like trying to take all my things like that are upstairs, because I'm like in the basement or whatever. And so I'm like getting out of the basement in order to get up there, and she's like freaking the fuck out. Her friends are like, don't even know what to do at this point to help her, because she's just freaking the fuck out, and she's just like ranting and raving and trying to get rid of all of my stuff because that's the best that she can do. And I'm just like, I'm over it. Like, none of this is affecting me the way she wants it to affect me, and that's throwing her for a fucking loop. So she's just going crazy, and she's just like throwing this fit. And she like takes my car and tries to hide my car somewhere, and I'm like pissed about it, and I have to like walk all this way to go find my car, and then I have to like try to get it up on this beach, and like my car like is not, it's like a used car that's already having its own issues. So like, I mean, because it's a used vehicle, right? So like it ain't great to begin with, and like to get it off, and like her friends keep telling me like, because once I start going to the car, once I was like, I get it out of them, they explain where it is and everything like that, and this girl's just like fucking off her rocker. And our friends are like, she's just trying to like make it harder for you. Like, she's not actually trying to destroy you. And I was like, that is what she's trying to do. That is what this is. Like, I'm already like just over it. Like, you're not going to make it better. Sort of deal. And then I like see this girl walking, and she I'm saying something about this other girl being a cunt, and that other girl hears me and kind of like makes his face about it. And one of the friends of the girl that's freaking out, one of the other witches or whatever, is like, she's like, don't say that to her, because like that girl wants to beat her up. And I was like, good. I get that you're trying to protect this girl, but like, she's already done enough. Like, y'all witches are fucking done. You're dumb. You've been dumb this whole time. What you're doing isn't working, and I'm tired of it. And I'm not giving it any more energy. And so they're all like scared and stuff. So they're like trying to pander to me now. So, and then like at some point, like the poodle are there again, except now they're my mom's dog, Eli, who's a poodle mix, and this other little white dog. Only it's like not them, obviously it's these other dogs, but like they have rabies, and I see their red eyes. And I see that they have rabies, so I like pick this one dog up and just start like smashing it to death. Like I like break its neck. Really fucking awful. And the girls start freaking out, and they're like, oh my God, you killed our dog. And I was like, this one had rabies. It's not even a real dog. These are all fake. This is all fake. Like, you guys are just being fake. This isn't even real. It was so bizarre. But I remember waking up and it just like really, really sticking with me and giving me like lots of bad vibes. That's generally how these attacks go. That's like the point, is that like it's just to get very deep into my psyche and then have me feeling some type of way for however extended period of a time. And a lot of it's like because I have like things going on, like I have like an energy that I'm specifically trying to be in. And so then these types of dreams will come to like try to take me out of that energy. Or like I have something specifically I'm trying to take care of, and these dreams will come in to try to like dissuade me from that. Right? And thankfully I have done enough work, enough myself that like that type of petty thing doesn't really get to me. It gets to me because I realize that I have to process it. It's still something that I'm going to process my dreams. I gotta do it. But like, as long as it's something I can consider and think of and stuff like that, like I'm going to have to process through those emotions and anything that's been triggered in my subconscious. But like the actual act of like, okay, we're gonna, like, because it's so petty and I'm not like that. Like things are deeper for me. So it's like they'll go very deep, but like in a petty way. So it's like, oh, to get her to feel like lonely or incapable or like scared that everything's going bad or like that her stuff isn't really that great or like that she doesn't really deserve anything good. And that way she'll like want to put herself in a position of like being validated socially or being validated romantically. Well, that's not how I go about things. So like generally it doesn't work that way. I just go in to myself and work those things out because I already recognize those as being emotions and stuff that I am not particularly given to and that I don't want to be particularly given to, right? So like these things don't do what they intend to do, but they still do affect me. It's like I woke up feeling all groggy and all like, you know, and that too, because I'm like sleeping like a whole bunch right now, like getting a whole bunch of rest because I hadn't been getting any for the last couple months. But then like my dreams are all so crazy that like I don't feel like I'm getting fully rested every night when they're like that. Some of the times I wake up feeling great and it feels great. Other times it's these dreams, like they do get to me, and that's the whole point, and that's part of the frustration of it, right? So anyways, I got a lot in my head. I got a lot going on, and I just felt like doing this would be good, especially because I did it the other day for the first time, and like, I don't know that, sorry. I know that I left it feeling drained, but by the next day, I felt very excited about it, and I was very happy with it. The draining, I think, came from just needing to cleanse, and I'm doing these things as an act of, like, figuring my energy out and figuring out, like, how to balance my give and take and my input-output. And that's something I happen to be talking to this dude about today. This guy gave me a ride home yesterday. I had walked to the store, which was fine. But then I stopped at Subway, and he was finishing up at the same time I was finishing up, and he was like, well, I'm an Uber driver. He was like, if you want, I'll just Uber you back or whatever, and you know, you can tip me something small or whatever. And then he ended up not even wanting a tip. Because we sat and talked for a long time, and he was like, this is the most human, like, interaction I've had in a very long time, and I really appreciate that. So we exchanged numbers, and like we were planning on hanging out today, but I told him, like, when I woke up, like, I've got to cleanse, I've got to do some self-care, and I've got to focus on myself for a little while, because like I'm really up in my emotions, I'm up in my head. There's a lot of stuff that was triggered, and like I just got to work this stuff through, and he's really understanding about it. We were talking about that, like, you know, I've always tended to care for others as like an excuse to not have to care for myself, or like as a way to, like, that's how I've been caring for myself, is by caring for others. I really haven't been caring for myself properly, and I've been learning more and more how to care for myself and how to balance those things out, how to care for myself while caring for others. But I'm definitely not there yet, and I'm this little tiny break in between working where I was just working and then moving and starting up work again, like, is supposed to be about me being able to balance those things and work those things out, and like be able to give myself care while still being able to care for others, right? And so that's like big. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I just was like, you know, I want to hang out, but I really need to prioritize my own needs. And like I keep doing this, like I keep trying to hang out with people, and then being like, you know what, I just need to be alone right now. Like, it was nice, it's great, I'm learning a lot, but like I just need to take this time for myself. sorry, not sorry, but like sorry, but like not sorry, you know? So that's where I'm at. I don't know if anybody else can resonate with that. I'm sure a lot of us are all kind of in this weird transition period. And like, you know, I know the opportunity for transition comes to everyone often. I think the way that most people tend to receive it is the same way that I naturally would without doing this work, which is to kind of push it off, to kind of suppress it, to kind of just like bide my time until it passes through, and then just to be like, okay, I'm fine. I was thinking about it yesterday because it's almost like, you know, like we're constantly being given the opportunity to live and to make the most of our lives, but that takes work, and most people just don't want to do the work. So they're like, okay, well, can I just let somebody else do it? Can somebody else just live for me, and I'll just live like kind of like vicariously through them? Or like, do I really have to do that? Can't I just stay where I'm at and learn how to be happy where I'm at? That's fine. It's easier to learn how to be better, how to be happy with where you're at, than it is to actually accept change and move into something different, right? And like, I'm not saying that that's bad either. There's been plenty of times that has served me extremely well, that's helped my maturity and my leveling up, is to just be able to be happy where I'm at. Gratitude is truly the key to happiness. It's just that not every transition is asking for us to be happy, or like the end result isn't just revolving around our happiness. Often our processes of maturity are like about something completely separate. It's not about us just being happy or being, you know, happiness is ultimately going to be the thing we come to through the resolution of our transitions, but not every transition revolves around us being happy. In fact, often it's not like that. Often our maturing process is learn how to be uncomfortable and still do the thing. It doesn't matter if you're happy, and we're not sitting here trying to alchemize ourselves into happiness with every single change. We're trying to receive it, be able to learn what to do with it, and then we can learn how to be happy. At least that's what it seems like for me. Now, I was raised, you know, Christian, and I was raised like with a real stoic, like minimalist type concept of happiness, where like happiness isn't what you seek to begin with, and you being happy is never the point, and like everything's about self-sacrifice. I have cultivated a sense of happiness in my adulthood, and specifically within like the last 4 years. That's why I was depressed for so long, was because I did not believe that happiness was an integral part of my existence, and I believe it to be now. Believe it to be one now. But that wasn't always the case, and I still don't, because of that, maybe in part, maybe for others, happiness is the ultimate, and I'm not dogging on that, you know, and like the process looks different for everybody. I can obviously only speak for myself, but like for me, it doesn't ever revolve around happiness. That's kind of the personal alchemization I do through my processes, and that's what I do for myself in order to feel more balanced. But like, I don't even require to be happy in order to like do things or to feel valid in doing things. Like, it's not my happiness. It's about like the sustainability of a thing. And like, is it leveling up everything? Is it benefiting other people? Doesn't really matter, because I find so much of my happiness is kind of founded in ego. And there's a place and time for that. And it's not innately evil in any sort of way. It just isn't ever the ultimate, like, anything. My ego, you know, that's for me personally, for my identity and whatnot, self-expression, different things like that are like, they add to life, they make meaning of things, and they do add to the experience and stuff for others too. That's why I try not to be so stoic that I don't allow myself into those spaces, but at the same time, like, they're just never really my driving force. I try very hard to not let them be my driving force most of the time. But yeah, I'm in a weird place right now where part of this healing process is like being able to validate that, like, I need to prioritize my feelings. I need to prioritize myself and my health and what it is that I need, even if that's just like taking my time and being alone and like taking things very slowly. Like, sorry if you were hoping that we were going to rush into different things, or like, and it wouldn't be rushing for you. Like, I might be going a billion times slower than you. And like the slowest you can go is like, okay, this is me going slow and it's still like a little too quick for me. That's just where I'm at. That's just where I'm at, you know. And I've been through, like, I've seen other people in those spaces, and I've tried to let them be in those spaces. I've had to learn how to let people be in those spaces. I've dealt with negative karma from not having let people be in those spaces and still trying to force through things. So like, I'm not trying to be like that right now, right? Okay, so I don't even know exactly what this reading is supposed to be. Ace of Swords. Okay, so we're just looking into the truth of the matter. I'll show you the cards. They look so nice to me to be able to look at them all reflective, but they're hard to see on the screen. The Ace of Swords. So we're looking at the truth of things. The truth of the matter. I mean, yeah, I definitely woke up in some sort of way, feeling some sort of way. So what was that all about? I took it as a spiritual attack from specific types of people, especially, yeah, because I was really feeling some type of way, and yeah, it felt like it resonated with a specific group of people. And then I spent some time like consciously like working through a little bit of healing from a past relationship that I've struggled to let go of in order for it to become something else. And so that's, you know, where I'm at right now, where it's like there's still that bit of hope that like it could be something else, that it could be new, that we could start off. But then there's that trepidation that like I've already found you to be untrustworthy, and that I can't just push forward with that. So I'd really have to see something different. I'd really have to see something like, and I don't know what that is. I don't know what it would take for me to be able to be like, yep, this is something I can move forward with. And that relationship isn't even, at least as far as I know, coming at me. Like there's no reason for me to think that that person is trying to contact me. I just had these weird dreams. So what the fuck? These popped out. I know this one popped out first, but these popped out face up. So I'm going to take them as they are. It's the Empress in reverse and the Eight of Swords upright. This one came on its side. It came facing down as well as this one. So these are my clarifiers. When cards come at an angle, sometimes I take that, sometimes I don't. Generally, when I take that, it takes on a different meaning than the direct upright reverse. So we will get to that. Right now I have the Empress in reverse as my Ace of Swords, which makes sense. That's just where I'm feeling, right? I am the Empress, and I have been in the Empress energy now for like a month, little over a month at least. But I've felt it slipping, and I would say that the Eight of Swords like definitely feels like that. I felt it slipping. I felt, and like not necessarily because I've been doing anything wrong, but that I haven't fully embraced the responsibility of it. Not that I've been too casual with it. I haven't necessarily known what to do with it, right? I just don't know what to do with it. Like I spent so much time getting into this energy and getting into this space and getting to a point of being able to be confident within myself. And now it's like, okay, now I'm here, and now what? The clarifier for the Empress is the Strength in reverse. The Empress is in reverse, the Strength in reverse. Which is so funny because I'm pretty sure that every reading that I've had for the past like month, the strength, anytime Strength comes in, it's never in reverse. It's always in the upright unless it's talking about somebody else. But And like, we're talking about the Ace of Swords. So I would say that this is reflective of, obviously, like, in like these dreams, like they're triggering of like a deep psychological thing that I have. And like, that's that I don't feel, even if I'm actively portraying and actively like acting in the Empress and the upright, the strength in the upright, these dreams are revealing that like that's not fully solidified for me. And largely in part, I suppose, because of still the effects of these past relationships. It's not that I fear these people, but it's that I keep falling into these relationships with them. So like, what is it in me that keeps allowing these relationships? And that's also why I tend to isolate so much, which I don't find to be a problem, honestly. Everybody else seems to really not like it. Like, they want their time with me. They want me to be out. They want me to be around. They like my energy. And like, that's why I like isolating. Because like, I'm tired of people taking my energy for granted and taking it to help them not do what they could do. Like, you could be just like me, but instead you just want me to be there and be around so that you don't have to do it. You can just siphon it off of me. That's what it often feels like. Even when it comes from a subconscious thing for people, I don't generally hold it against people, but that is what it feels like. Seeing it with the Empress, like it's making me feel like I feel a sense of responsibility to those things. And then there comes like this weird fear that like I'm not being fully responsible. I guess a fear that I don't have the strength, or that I'm not in the strength, not that I don't have it, but that I'm not in it to be the Empress. And that's, yeah, I mean, that makes all the sense in the world. You know, there's still all these things I'm constantly dealing with. There's still these things that I can't fully see or like properly work with yet, that I'm not actively able to fully process. I mean, this woman is completely bound, and her eyes are covered. And she's surrounded by swords, and she knows it. And it almost is like she's trying to move through them, you know, but she can't see and she can't feel her way through those things. Yeah, I would say that to me, it makes sense. I don't know if I even have to explain some of these things, but to me, that makes sense. It's so weird seeing the strength in reverse. It's funny right now, as I'm looking at that and as I'm saying that, I'm noticing that the lion's tail is between his legs. This is him in the upright, but you can see that his tail is between his legs. For the longest time, every time I would see the strength card, it would resonate with me as just Leo, because I have this proclivity towards Leos romantically, and so I would always see them in it. And yes, I'm the woman trying to train the lion, but I always saw the lion as like this separate entity from me, and it was something that I was trying to like control. And it was just a reminder that my strength isn't in controlling these things. It's kind of working out a relationship with these things. And only recently, since I stepped into the Empress energy, have I seen myself as the woman taming the lion, as the woman able to stand with the lion and to, you know, she's touching it, she's comforting it, it's submitting to her with its tail between its legs. As I'm talking about not feeling fully empowered, I'm again feeling like the lion, and I'm feeling like the lion with its tail between its legs. And like there's this higher power, the divine feminine, that's trying to soften me and trying to make me submit. And I'm like, I'm kind of like the cowardly lion. Like I'm kind of being cowardly. I'm kind of being scared of it. I'm being timid about it. And that's a struggle too, because like I in my Empress energy often, with the Ace of Swords being upright, that's what I want. That's what I want, but I do, the Ace of Swords being upright, like that is my end goal, is to be able to just be the truth without any sort of explanation, or maybe not explanation, but like I don't need to excuse my behavior that way, or my concepts that way, or the way that I carry myself in the upright. But I fear those things. I fear how they'll be received. Okay, so You know, and this is the Eight of Swords is representative of that fear, of that trepidation more than anything. You know, it's a lack of perception, a lack of action, even in an attempt at those things, but not a kind of it's a confusion. You know, the wind's blowing. There's a bit of a confusion there. I want to flip it like this. I guess it doesn't matter because it's on its side. The Queen of Pentacles is my clarifier for the Eight of Swords. And I hate that so much of this always comes down to money, but like obviously this entire board right now is very representative of the fact that I'm not feeling fully in my strength because of my concerns with money. I felt very secure like a month ago when I first received, I'd been saving my income, but when I first was stepping away from the job, or like getting close to stepping away from the job, I was still working, but I was looking into the future knowing that, okay, now I have all of this money and this is what I'm going to be doing with it. And I made very, very direct choices, like very concise choices as to what I was going to be doing with that money. So I knew that I would end up in this position, but it's like the trepidations of those things, right? That like, well, I don't just have endless money. And I hate that everything revolves around money. I hate that feeling. I feel like if I didn't have to worry about money, I wouldn't have to worry about shit. Like I would feel so much more confident to just be able to like move into things and like actively do what I feel like I'm here to do in the world. And like, you know, I've learned not to be irresponsible with my money. But I almost tend to be too cautious, you know, with it, in different ways. We're like, you know, and then I don't know, I've been good with it, but it's just because I'm keenly aware at this point that like, I don't just have an endless supply of it. So kind of reconsidering what to do, at this point, where I'm at this point. And like, that's really the only, like I thought of that in the dream when she had moved my car and hid my car. All I was thinking the whole time is like, you're making me do so much work for no reason, which is really fucking annoying, right? Like, I don't need to be doing any of this. Leave me alone. Okay? But at the same time, I was thinking like, man, if like, I'm going to have to pay to get my car towed out of this area that she put it in. And like, I don't have the money for that. Like, it's not that I don't have the money, but like every time that I'm spending money, it's a little bit less security in having that money, right? Like until I have a full set income again. And like, even then, like even the whole time I was making money, like it's only because I'm in this in between before working again. But like, while I was making money, like I still had that conscious thought. I wasn't just like, oh, I have all of this endless money. I was very conscious about the money that I had, and I was choosing to spend it the ways that I spent it, or to save it the ways that I was saving it, for my benefit and for my benefit. Because at that point, like, you know, it used to always like I had my dog for 15 years. My entire adult life revolved around anytime I had anything, making sure that she was as well cared for as possible, even at my own expense. And I didn't know how to do that and how to properly provide those things for her. I wasn't thinking clearly as to like the steps that it would take. I always was investing everything that I had into getting those things, and then I would just have them for a short time, and then I wouldn't have backed myself up, and then I was just in that cycle constantly. It was so frustrating because I could never provide for her what she really deserved and what I really wanted to. That always makes me so emotional. I hate that. It's just a constant reminder of like the importance of doing the steps the right way, setting up the right things, setting myself up with some sense of security so that I have stuff to fall back on that way, right? So I've gotten much better about those things. Also, I'm coming from not only not having an education about how to do that, but having people actively preying on me on top of that. So like all of these ways that I've learned how to mature in these ways and be responsible in these ways has come out of fucking nowhere. It's come out of nothing. It's come out of, there wasn't nothing. It was coming out of the negative. It was coming out of people trying to actively attack me, and me taking that energy and being like, okay, If that's what you're doing, then like, what does that mean? Like, why are you trying to attack this part? What can I do about that? Like, what can I take from that in order to make sure that that isn't still happening? And like, pretty much the way that I've matured in any way has come from that. I hate how much money has ruled my life. I don't like it. I don't care about money like that. I really don't. My mom does, and she's instilled it in me. All of these just fucked up concepts of money, and like, I hate that. And I don't mean to hate her for that, because like, I'm not trying to give her that power, but it does get really frustrating. And I think that was the thing with this dude that was talking to me yesterday. Like, we were talking about our family, and we were talking about different really deep things, and like, yeah, it's triggering to remember that like, I can find love for people that have like abused me beyond reason. And I just, it's not that I don't have love for my mom, but like, I'm just so frustrated with that relationship. And because of the stuff with money, like, she's robbed me my entire life and has not put herself in a better position because of it. She still doesn't know how to use money. She still has yet to figure out how to actually do the things that I'm trying so hard to cultivate in myself right now so that I'm not like that, right? And like, that's the frustrating thing, because it's like, yeah, if you would quit stealing from me and quit stealing from others and quit trying to be fraudulent about everything you do, you too would learn how to actually be responsible with these things and could actually be in a better position. But no, you keep stealing from people and then splurging all of that stuff and then have nothing to show for it. And like, that's not what I'm trying to do right now. And I think that that's the deep fear, you know. That's the deep fear. I think that the strength in reverse actually resembles that too. Where like, as pleasant as it looks, it's actually reflective of my strength being tamed or more suppressed by that dark feminine that way. And like, that feeling of control, where like, the lion, and like, maybe that's why his tail's between his legs, you know, because it isn't the perfect picture for strength would be, you know, the lion walking beside the woman, both in confidence, neither being wholly submissive to anything outside of themselves. And you know, I normally love this because this is like a more traditional strength card, but that is how it is resonating with me right now. Okay. And yeah, these ones make sense. I'm gonna move these aside. The strength card is really the one that's like making me feel some type of way, obviously. So can I get some more clarification for the strength card? What are the steps that I can take? What can I do? Where's the focus supposed to be on? Turning this upright, turning this back upright and having me see it positively again and in a good place again. I know it has to do with pentacles, but I also know that I can't just... There's the moon. It fell on the ground. I picked it up in the reverse. A dog, a wolf, and a lobster. There's two towers. Just wait on material wealth. That's not... The material wealth is an effect. It comes afterwards. Six of Pentacles. The moon is my reflections, that I'm aware. Six of Pentacles showing up right as I'm saying that is like a gift, you know, from the universe to be like, yeah, you know that every time that you're in the right place, we provide for you. When you're not being provided for, it's because you're not in alignment. But here it's like, really everything physical is in alignment. It's my thoughts of self and my emotions that are out of alignment. And I felt that when I woke up from this dream, because obviously it's just a dream, but I'm deeply affected by it. It's not even something real, it's all in my head, right? So my question before this turned over, so I'm not going to look at it yet, but it did flip over in the face up. What I was just thinking to myself is, what can I do to get my emotions in order? And it's the Fool card, and it came upright, and it came face up, and it popped out. The second I started even questioning that, and it's like, I already know that, just let go. Just let go. He's literally on a cliffside. He's on a cliffside just dancing his way off into the ocean. And you know, there's the concept of the Fool, but he has everything he needs. He's completely confident, totally fine. The dog is dancing with him. Weird that it's the little white dog from my dream, right? Because that's what the little white dog that I didn't kill looked like. And it's almost like I just had to kill the one to show that they had rabies, and then both of them were fine. He has a flower in his hand, the sun to his back, represented by 0, nothingness, which makes me think of the Tao Te Ching, which I haven't read in a while. Maybe that would be helpful. Actually, let's bring that into this. Let's see how that goes. I brought this book with me during my travels last year when I hiked from Wisconsin to Texas. I took 3 trains and then hiked the rest of the way. And this served me extremely well. I haven't read it since I started reading it again and obviously got to 23. So interesting, because today's the 24th. Yesterday was the 23rd, and that number meant a lot to me yesterday. I am just now seeing that I have this card in there, which reminded me that I haven't read this book since I was at my not my last client now, but the client before, my last client in Texas, when I was staying with them. I started reading this again. And I got this card. Now, this card was weird because I was feeling some type of way one day, very deeply into my spiritual self, and had essentially received the message that I needed to be quite cautious because there were people out there in my close environment that were seeking ill will on me. And I happened to be feeling some type of way, so I started praying. And after I was done praying, I looked down on the ground, and this card was on the ground. I assumed I had had the garage door open, so I assumed that it had blown in. But there was no other cards like it around. I hadn't seen any cards, never saw anyone's. This one just happened to be on the ground. And I picked it up, and it had the tree, and it was in Spanish, which I also found very potent at the time. But El Arbo, the tree, and it says, El que buen árbol se arrima, buena sombra le cobija. Which I had to look up the translation. I didn't know what that meant. It resonated so deeply with me. As soon as I picked the card up, it felt like a blessing. And it felt like a little reminder from my ancestors. And that's why it was in Spanish, which is so funny. I'm native, but especially being in Texas, there's like this weird overlap of my native heritage with the Mexican culture. And because in Texas, like most of the people are, not most of the people, but many of the people are Mexican or Spanish speaking. What it says, the translation, is that those who find themselves under a good tree find good shade. And it was a reminder kind of like staying in tune, where like I had done the right thing by like getting into my Tao Te Ching. So it's funny that it comes out right now, because it is that reminder. This is the right thing. Thank you. The universe is always giving me those little blessings to show that I'm on the right path. It's on 23, which means the 22 was the last one I read. I put it in 23 for this to be the next one that I read. So I haven't read this one. I read them all last year. I've read this book multiple times. I've used it as a little devotional. But like I said, I actually have not looked at this book now since the beginning of this year. It was probably around like January or February that I found that tree. Probably around February that I found that tree. Only simple and quiet words will ripen of themselves, for a whirlwind does not last a whole morning, nor does a sudden shower last a whole day. Who is their author? Heaven and earth. Even heaven and earth cannot make such violent things last long. How much truer is it of rash endeavors of men? Hence, he who cultivates the Tao is one with the Tao. He who practices virtue is one with virtue. He who courts after loss is one with loss. To be one with the Tao is to be a welcome accession to the Tao. Accession. To be one with the Tao is to be a welcome accession to the Tao. To be one with virtue is to be a welcome accession to virtue. To be one with loss is to be a welcome accession to loss. Deficiency of faith on your part entails faithlessness on the part of others. Right. It hit me very much for it to say, even in heaven and earth cannot make such violent things last long. How much truer is it of the rash endeavors of men? You know, and like these fears, right? Like they come from a long life of people meaning ill will and being able to do damage, being able to take from me, being able to stop me in my tracks, being able to defer me on my path, being able to put me in the sunken place or even keep me there for a time. And those fears that come up, even though I know not to fear those things. Yesterday, I kept receiving with the number 23. Yesterday was the 23rd, and I kept receiving the winning the lottery and to play the lottery, which I did, which I never, ever do. But I decided to, and I didn't have the winning numbers. But I was reminded in the morning that it wasn't about placing my faith in the material that way, that it was something much deeper than that. And that winning the lottery, like, for me was a sense of being cared for always and being able to be abundant without concern. And that those things obviously are attainable without actually having a winning lottery ticket and a bank full of money. Because he who cultivates the Tao is one with the Tao, and he who practices virtue is one with virtue. He who courts after loss is one with loss. I had been talking to the dude last night. He grew up Christian as well, and so we were talking about those concepts. And I had brought up how, like, there's the Beatitudes, I think they're called, but there's a part in, like, it's like in Psalms and Proverbs where it talks about, to be kind, because those that are kind receive a certain blessing. Be gracious, because those that are gracious receive a certain blessing. Be patient, because then you receive a certain blessing. And I remembered that, when I was growing up, I used to think that those things were like, you do acts of righteousness in order to gain some sort of righteous favor. when in truth, that's not what is being said, and that's not what the promise is. It's that if you are gracious, you become aware that you already have grace, that you are grace, that you have it to give. If you are generous, it's because you have those things to give. So like, you're already blessed. That is the blessing. Like, that is the blessing in itself, is to be able to give. You know, and so I would suppose that it's even things like this where like, even in my feeling some type of way, I'm not with lack. I always have the fullness of abundance. The Ace of Swords is upright. It's remained upright. Even when it's in reverse, it's only a reflection of a concept. But like in this reading, and with it ending with the Fool, because I am going to end it with that. I mean, they even resemble each other that way to me. And it is that reminder that those things are always in the upright, and that it's always there to be received. You know, the marker being left in the book at the same time, being told to even grab the Tao Te Ching. And that's what's so funny, because every time that it resonates with me that I'm supposed to read of it, it always has some sort of like, it always is like that anyways. I would recommend it for anyone to read at any time, but specifically when it comes upon me, like, it always has a very specific message that resonates very deeply with what it is that I'm considering at the time. So I appreciate this. Thank you to Spirit, to my guides, to my ancestors, for working through me to be able to practice this type of art, and, you know, to gain the self-expression from it that I do. I'd kind of already moved out of my feelings to a degree even prior to starting the reading, but it helps a lot to be able to do these things and to reflect on these things and to be able to pull from them and be like, okay, right. The fact that these were the cards that I happened to pull at this time and that I read them the way that I read, like, shows how things are in alignment, and, you know, how everything's kind of really more or less to like a matter of what I do with it. And that reminder that like my power is always there. The truth is always there. This is always upright. Even when it doesn't appear that way in a reading, truly the truth always stands. There's always so much more that it could be taken, but I feel satisfied with that. I also have to pee, so I guess that's the end of this reading. Hopefully, by sharing these things, I'm helping others to do whatever it is that they need to do. But it does help me, and that's good enough for me. So, all right, thanks. Bye.